Hey guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena. Today we're back over in our YouTube account and we are here for our regular scheduled Sunday live stream. So as you can see, one of the questions that we had up here is, have you seen Draconic heroes from Common Scrolls? Now I got a message last night from D2 saying, hey, I pulled a Nyla with Common Scrolls, so I want to do some summons in here. I don't know if it's a bug. I don't know if it's a fluke. I don't even know the rarity if you can get them. But as you can see, 19% of people, we have what, 42 votes right now, but 19% of people said they have seen Draconic heroes from Common Scrolls. So again, that's pretty interesting to see that there is the ability to get them with Common Scrolls. Again, we don't know the rarity of them and the ability to actually pull them, but yes, there has been players that have pulled the Common Scrolls or the Draconic heroes with Common Scrolls, which I want to see. Again, I have never seen it. Now, also, if you look at the very first message that I put up, there is a new code. A new code came up a couple hours ago, and that new code is providing you with 30 Common Scrolls, which is pretty good. That is a free hero right there. So make sure you're using the codes. Make sure you're using all of the codes because, of course, they are going to give you a lot of rewards. Now, Twisted Realm, you can see we do have some more essence in here. And then, of course, the leaderboard. We came in at 85. So we've been doing incredibly well when it comes to the treasure scramble. So coming in at 85 is, of course, going to yield us some time emblems, some Stargazer scrolls, some red chests, a lot of diamonds in here. So overall, looking at what we pulled in from where we were, that is a lot of resources that we got out of there. Yeah, that's what I want to see. It's like midnight where I'm at. Well, thank you for joining me at midnight. A lot of players were saying it's super humid. Most of you know that I am here in Michigan. We had crazy humidity this week, and then it was 90 degrees. This morning, it was 54. That is right. We went from 90 degrees to 54 at night in the matter of 3 days. So it has been a very big swing. What's going on? We got Simon, Pablo. It looks like we have a ton of people in this chat. And you can also notice that on the side of my screen, we do have Melion or Melion, whatever you want to say. Melion is up there. Doesn't seem like he's having a huge effect with the video that we did last night. Looking at the test server, looking at the utility of the hero, where he is being used for the new Draconic hero, being a support. He is only being a support for other Draconic heroes. If you don't have Draconic heroes in formation, the fourth ability does nothing, which kind of stinks, meaning that the hero is utility-wise going to be a lot lower. And right there, we did see some of our epic chests. Now, of course, we know Tuesday, and we're waiting for Tuesday because it is going to be the update for the Ghoulish Gallery. And literally, it is almost a complete overhaul systematically with how they use it. Because when we look at Tuesday, the Ghoulish Gallery is going to be able to use those collections across multiple heroes. Now, of course, that is going to be the biggest game changer that we've seen for the collections, because that means when you get your collections and when you're building out the collections, you're going to have the ability to use them on up to 8 different heroes. So even thinking of like Demio, which we have a really solid built collection out, and especially when it comes to the damage dealing heroes, this is where I feel like it's going to have probably the biggest impact, is when you look at some of the collections where you have these double skills, which are very hard, very specific way that you can actually build these. But looking at this collection, having those double skills, we can put this on up to 8 other heroes, which again is going to be an absolute game changer when it comes to building out these collections. And of course, the multitude of collections. Then we add in the Stargazer and the Temple of Time, where you can actually get some of the totems out of there. Again, making a really big difference in that. What's going on, Soul? Been a bit since I caught the stream. What is the best First Awaken? So the First Awaken, honestly, Ghost, would be, in my opinion, guys, the Awakened version of Athelia. This would probably be the best one. Is the Awakened version of Entendre SSS tier? Tier list is coming out tonight. The July tier list, I was putting it together a little bit earlier. Unfortunately, the Awakened version of Entendre is not an SSS tier hero yet. Now, the problem that we see with the Awakened version of Entendre is, one, burst damage is not super huge with her. And then, of course, the second part is the survivability. The Awakened version of Entendre, if she doesn't have support, survivability for the hero in general is not there at all. But again, I'm super excited to build out these collections, and really, it is going to be a game changer. I've been saving everything in the Ghoulish Gallery. You can see, I think we have 7 more attempts in here, but we are waiting. And of course, you can see right here, we're used 74 of our 80. I'm going to get this to 80 to unlock the rest of it, meaning that we're going to be able to get, if I use 3 of our legendary bizarre totems, it is going to give me 3 guaranteed mythic abilities. And then of course, we'll be able to upgrade them to Mythic Plus based on what we have built. Again, that is going to be huge. Finally, I've been missing the earlier streams. Oh, that one guy, thank you for joining us. And to everybody, can't wait to make my 5, the Mythic Plus collections supreme. It is going to be absolutely broken. What is going on, Yoshi? Let's run through here. I want to knock out my dailies. Even for a majority of the content that we have in here, and even really the state of AFK Arena, a lot of players not very happy. I know the Ghoulish Gallery, big update, but still some players not too happy with it. But when it comes to Draconic heroes, and this is something that we've touched on quite a bit, is when it comes to the Dragon Isles, when it comes to these Dragon Forge trials, the Draconic heroes are too expensive. They're too expensive. They're too hard to get. Even looking at the common scrolls that we get for the Draconic heroes specifically, they are very expensive, and they are very rare to get. Even, there's no place that you can really build them up, especially if you are a free-to-play player, that you can get a lot of copies of these heroes to be able to build them up to the point of essentially being effective. Now, when we start looking at two of the heroes, the only 2 that we're seeing that are having a really big effect is number 1, looking at Nyla. Nyla is way high utility, being a very strong hero, even best in slot in some of the formations. And then, of course, the awakened version of Gwen doing incredibly well, even looking at a pivotal spot within the Nightmare Corridor and some other game modes doing incredibly well. Hildwin is good, but Hildwin is one where either you have him or he's not super difficult to sub. If you're looking at some of the best in slot formations, Hildwin can definitely go in there as a defensive aspect. He's not doing a ton of damage as a mage, but the defensive aspect for him is absolutely in there. But then when you look at Pulino, when you look at Cassius, even when you look at Melian, not effective at all and not really being used anywhere at all, which is kind of crazy. Is much better than the Cheat Death collection, especially if it's 3-star. Oh, is much better with the Cheat Death collection. There we go. So the Awakened version of Entendre is really good with the Cheat Death collection. And again, that is something that we've seen quite a bit. That's the biggest feedback that I've gotten in comparison or really reference to the Awakened version of Entendre is her ability and the amount of time that she dies. That is really where it's sad. And I believe some of these have, I'm wondering if we have any of these skill right there. First time the holder receives fatal damage. This is the Cheat Death ability that that Trisha is actually talking about right here. First time they receive fatal damage, they are immune to damage and revert their position and the status. So it is kind of like a rewind, what we see with Zorath. But of course, if you're looking at some of these higher collections, and again, a lot of the damage dealers that require a very high built double skill level collection, you're going to have the ability to do that, and you're going to have the ability to really do that on an entirely different level because you can go in here and you can share it with all of the other heroes. It is going to be very, very cool to see. Now, of course, like we were talking with the Draconic heroes and looking at Hildwin, we are getting one more copy that is already coming on the test server. The third, I think the third of 3 of 4 iteration for the Hildwin copy is already coming. So that is going to take him to Ascended. And then, of course, looking in here with the next one that is coming, we do have this one, which has 22 more days. That will give us a free copy out of here. Now, when we did summons before, we did pick up, I believe, 1 copy, maybe 2 copies of Hildwin that we actually did. So a lot of players were saying they don't have as many copies as I do of Hildwin. That's because we didn't get all the free copies. We did get some out of summons. And of course, looking at what is coming on Tuesday, we're going to do some summons in there within the Dragon Isle as well. And once I get back to up to 8, which is pretty easy, I mean, going through here, this will give me a chance to answer some of the questions. I see quite a few coming up in chat, but I'm going to go ahead and begin this. As long as I can get, and I haven't gotten 3 stars in here, but I really haven't focused on it at all. As long as I can get to 8, we can do some more summons, and I'm still looking for Gwen. Really looking for a lot more copies of Gwen, getting the Draconic heroes, and even looking at, if you caught the video last night, there is a pack you can purchase, and the pack is super asinine expensive. They've really put a lot of money, I would say a lot of the pay to win feature behind these heroes themselves. Only dragon having I'm investing is Nyland and Gwen. Bobo, those are the 2 big ones. Those are really the 2 big ones. Again, if you're looking at Hildwin, Hildwin is actually someone, Hildwin is a hero that can be replaced pretty easy. Again, he plays kind of a support role like what we see with Gavis. You can replace the hero relatively easy, not super, super hard to do. And of course, there we go, 612. So we got a new record on both those, but bringing us to 9 gives us the ability to pick these up. And that's what we're looking at. So we have 1, 2, we have 3. So all of those are bought. So now I'm going to start buying out some of the sub ones. And again, waiting for the new hero. So when the new hero does drop, I'm going to go ahead, drop him in the wish list. We're going to do some more, get some more copies out of here. Now in here specifically, I am leaving Nyla into this. I am leaving Nyla in here. And the reason being, I can use Nyla as food. That is one of the big things. And of course, looking at the diamonds, not really worth it for the diamonds. I'm not going to use any more diamonds in here. I'm just going to use the scrolls, which I know are going to be very slow to build. But I want to save the diamonds for the Stargazer. I want to make sure that we do have enough in here that we can still summon up heroes and we're going to have enough copies. Now here we have 617 time emblems. By the time we get another hero, I'm assuming we're going to be probably in the 900 to 1,000 range when it comes to the time emblems. So let me know in the comments, should we go ahead and should we use some of these just to get some heroes? But overall, again, I feel like we're at the point where we might be sitting on these time emblems forever without the utilization, without using them, when we could pick up a couple other heroes like the Awakened version of Shamira and just build her out a little bit further. Because of course, Antandra, Athalia, and a lot of other ones are already at 5 stars. So let me know. Let me know what you think. When using the berries for pets, should I fill the wish list even though you only need 2 of them? Yeah, I would build them out. The pets and the beast guys, they are a priority. The beast ground, getting them up to 18 is an absolute priority. It is a game changer, even out of the event that is coming with the Lost Sigils. When you look at the baits are very good. That's a decent goal. Yeah, the coder's pretty good. 30 of those summons. But where is Hildwin being used? So Hildwin is actually being used, again, kind of that defensive aspect. I don't know if the treasure scramble is over. But when you start looking through a multitude of game modes, when you start looking at, let's see, Gigo. Looking in here, Hildwin is being used right there. So right there is our copy of Hildwin, which of course, Brutus, we have Liberta and Lucilla in there. But when you start looking at a multitude of game modes, Hildwin, again, very similar to what we see with Gavis, is Hildwin is being used in a few different game modes and in a few different places. Even looking at Chan right in here, again, kind of as the defensive aspect, we are seeing him. Look at Eugene. Happy to see him there. There is Hildwin again. 3.05. So Hildwin was the primary damage dealer in this formation. And there is Nyla. So right there, we do have Hildwin and Nyla that are being used in some of those comps. And I don't think the Nightmare Corridor is using him. And again, checking out Blossom's formation in here, there is Gwen. 10.82 billion. Gwen is absolutely dominating that formation. There's Lavatoon, the original version of Baden. There's Awakened Athalia. Now, of course, there is Vika. Now, Vika, of course, very broken. The Awakened version of Thane. Yeah, I didn't think Hildwin was being used in here. But also remember that these bosses are changing every single week, which means it might not be used in every formation of the Nightmare Corridor, but there are a few formations. And we're at 148. I am happy with this with 18 hours left. We're doing pretty well in there. It is definitely worth it. Ghoulish Gallery would be much better if they gave us staffs. So Harris, that is my big thought. We have talked about this for an incredible amount of time. When it comes to the staffs, when it comes to the ability of getting the staffs, they need to add it right here into the Field of Stars. They need to give us an ability to get either staffs through the AFK rewards or getting staffs through the weekly chests. They have to add a methodology to get staffs. Short of spending diamonds in there, there's no other way to get them unless you want to go ahead and just straight up purchase them. What's going on, Shady? I got lucky with pulling Hildwin from regular drop pulls. That's where, again, I think I got some of my copies. Just what Shady said was from Hildwin out there. I've used my discounted Awaken. Should I go for Lucius, Sophia, Antandra, or the Celestial guy? Out of those, Lucius is good. Sophia is still going to be used. Out of those, probably Lucius would be the one. I know Gavis, again, Gavis being kind of a support hero can be a little bit, can be replaced pretty easy. I would probably go with Lucius out of those. Yeah, the CC is okay. And the big thing, like I said, with Hildwin, Hildwin is playing a lot more of a support aspect than we've seen. And look at this, guys, for the first time ever, boom, Look at that, 215 across the board. Super stoked to see this Elder Tree in its entirety. So it is maxed out in its entirety until we get some new heroes. And again, I want to get to the point where we're actually building and getting enough of the Twisted Essence that we don't have to kind of play catch up every single level, that we can kind of overbuild it. But that is 215 across the board. That is really, really cool to see that we have them. Save the time emblems because you can never predict your luck. Yeah, very true. Been a long time. It's Beans. What's going on, Beans? I haven't seen you in forever. I'm working toward 9 residents of Beast. I'm currently focused on gathering resources. So Veldex, the big thing with Beast, and really the pivotal point with building out the Beast. So looking at the Beast grounds, the pivotal point, the honestly game-changing biggest part of getting these Beasts is Resonance level 12. There's a lot of Beasts that don't work under level 12. And of course, there's a lot that 16 and 18 are really the pivotal point. But again, once you get this to 18, you never have to worry about the Beast again. It is something that I really, really overlooked when we were building out the Beast, is the impact when you start looking at multiple teams, when you start looking at multiple heroes. Once you get to 18, all of the new Beasts that are released, you automatically get them at level 18. So pretty much get to Beast Resonance 18 and you are done as far as having to build these and continue putting a ton of effort in there. You don't have to do it anymore. And of course, we did hit 900. There's 901. There is 902. 5 years. We are 902 levels into AFK Arena, which is kind of crazy. Yeah, Lucius does need a high investment to be really good. Yeah, I'll show you my Lucius. And again, Lucius does require a high investment. So even right here, we could add some more stars on Lucius, but we did go with the 40 right here. Again, using Divine Radiance refreshes the cooldown of the Unwavering Devotion. But when it went to the engraving, we went 72 engraving here. And yeah, build it out. Now we know what's coming. You know what? I'm going to do this for you guys. Boom. There we go. We went to an 80 with Lucius. A lot of players were questioning, why are we going higher with these heroes? There is a level up. There is Lucius to an 80. Now, of course, PvP-wise, he's being used. Twisted Realm, Cursed Realm, he is being used. Multitude of places, Lucius is being used. And of course, with my account specifically, and again, if you've been watching my channel for quite a while, we are very, very competitive when it comes to a lot of the different content. That's why we're scoring higher in the Twisted Realm, in the Cursed Realm, in the Treasure Scramble, and everything, is because we are building a lot of these heroes. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 heroes that we already have at that plus 80 engraving. And of course, the plus 80 engraving is the PvP aspect. But in addition, it also brings a lot more stats to the heroes, which is really cool. Where's the Awakened Entendre used, by the way? She's actually being used in a couple different places. And I haven't seen her as much as I thought. So looking at the Treasure Scramble, I don't think a lot of players were running her in here. But again, this is very, very early when it comes to the build out. And I'm thinking, I'm not sure even that we've seen her in here yet. I don't see her. I wonder if Blossom was running her. And these are kind of the two players that we always kind of follow because they're the top tier players within. Look at that. There's Rimuru. Now, Rimuru has actually been used quite a few places. And I've kind of picked up where he's being put in, again, kind of as a Gavis, kind of as a Hildwin, kind of a support hero, is where we've kind of seen Rimuru being used. I'll see you later, Bobo. Have a good day. Which one is stronger, the Awakened version of Athalia or Chimera? Both of them are really well. I like the Awakened version of Athalia because of the burst damage that she provides. This is one of the very, very heavy burst heroes that we see. And there are a lot of places where she is the best in slot in formations, especially with the damage. So you mentioned building dragons naturally, but it seems like they're becoming more used. New support one is being released. Seems insane. So Kiwi, seems insane with the hero. We were going through the test server last night. The new dragon hero isn't being used anywhere as of yet. And again, it's incredibly early right now. We haven't seen the hero being used in a ton of different places. I don't know if that means that we're going to see it. I'm surprised that we didn't see it with Nyla, that we didn't see it with Gwen because of the buffs. And I don't think the buffs are big enough to make a game-changing difference when it comes to the support hero is kind of what we're seeing. Because of course, a lot of the other abilities that the hero does possess is just based on damage, is based on some movement, is based on some crowd control, which a lot of those don't really make a big difference. See you later, Revert. Yeah, I'll have to, I'll get back to you. I'll go through the tier list when I'm there. What's going on, JC? Should I build the awakened version of Lucius or Entendre? Lucius seems to be being used a little bit more than Entendre, but again, it's still pretty early. Did I miss any mentions about awakened Entendre? So I got the tier list coming out tonight, guys. Hold the questions for Entendre. And again, I'll go through and I'll explain it a little bit more where she's being used, where we're seeing her. Because again, it might not be in this iteration that we're seeing her, but we know that she is coming. I know we're not finished with the 3rd generation Awakened Heroes. Already said, yeah, 3rd generation, we still have a Wilder and a Graveborn that are coming this year, which is going to be very cool. Go for Awakened Lyca or Lucius. Awakened Lyca, we're still seeing more. The Awakened version of Lyca, we are still seeing used a lot more than we are Lucius in a bunch of different content. Let's pop open. I think I got some chests in here. The 2 that we just got right here, boom. That's a lot of cores that I got out of there. Then, of course, these are from the Treasure Scramble. This is placed 85th in the Treasure Scramble, but I think we do have another copy of Eugene. There we go, guys. That is 1 closer to getting Eugene to 5-star. Superba Leadstone, we have 1 chance here. Could we get an Awakened? It is a copy of Saurus. Then, of course, the rare heroes. We'll get 8 more of those. I want to do some summons in here. And again, I'm hoping that we do pick up a copy, an Awakened copy, or excuse me, a Draconic copy in here, which would be cool. Do you know what Shona alts do? The one at the start of battle. We'll look at her in just a minute. Let me do some summons in here. So we got 62 scrolls. Now looking at the wish list, we have 1 Lightbearer right there. We have 2 Maulers. We have 0 Wilders. So unfortunately, no Wilders in there. We have 2 Graveborns. So I'm actually going to swap this because we do have 27 of these. I'm going to go for, let's go for Maulers. We'll pick some up from Vika and see if we can get some. Then, of course, in here, Villanelle, we're not going to do any more summons, but maybe we can see a Draconic hero and really prove if you can get them or if you cannot get them. I would love to see Gorgie. I feel like they need Gorgie in here, so there is a copy of Nara. Just for the simple fact it is so incredibly, incredibly rare and hard to get the food. There's a copy of Muriel or Morel. And our last copy with our common scrolls just gives us some more food. So all of that food is just going to be recycled. 2 copies in here for our Maulers. Maybe we can pull 1 more copy, which it is a copy of Golas. So again, going to be recycled in there. 1 pull gives us nothing. So card again, we're going to go for Maulers. Trying to get Vika up a little bit further. There is Citrena. Again, going to be recycled. Stargazer, I'm just going to wait. I know we were pulling some copies of the Awakened version of Shamiro, which I think we got her to 2 stars. I don't think we have any extra copies. Nope, so we took her up to 2 stars. Didn't build her up anymore, and I want to see what's coming. I want to make sure that we have the resources for new heroes that are going to be coming down the line. Should I engrave Awakened Shamira or Liberta first? I have them at 1 star. I would do Liberta. Pink Sky, Liberta is still a huge, huge priority. There is not a place within AFK Arena that Liberta is not being used and really not being used in his entirety. We are seeing Liberta still in every formation, in every game mode. Even looking some of the campaign formations, looking at the Temporal Rift, Liberta is still being used everywhere. Give me Tassie or Isabella. That's what a lot of people are shady. That's what a lot of people are saying, shady, that it is going to be Tassie or it is going to be Isabella. But there we go. So we have Eugene at 2 stars, which means it's probably going to take another 6 months, probably another 6 months to get him all the way to 5 stars. But it's going to be a slow, consistent build. We've seen it over time that we've actually gotten a lot of copies of him for free. And now we're doing the exact same with Hildwin. So we have 5 cards right here. Now, of course, Hildwin is in here with the free copy we're going to get. That is going to take him to Ascended. Gwen is the one that we're following before. And then, of course, Shuna and also Rimuru, we are building as Villanelle. We want all of those heroes built out. So let's see if we can get a couple more copies in here of these. And I'm hoping to see some Mythic Furniture. There we go, which is a copy for Hildwin. And I believe Hildwin and Gwen are getting pretty close to being maxed out. And I'm not going to worry about the new Draconic hero because, again, we're not going to race to build him up. And I'm almost thinking, like Shuna, I think I'm going to build out the rest of Shuna's furniture. There's a piece for Lyca, but we did get one for Shuna as well. We got, what, 6 cards on the table. Now, I have one in the bag as well. So I'm going to go and I'm going to use the one that we have because I believe that puts Shuna at 5. Yeah, that puts her at 5. So I want to make sure, and I always forget this card. When sometimes going through the Nightmare Corridor, I do get the free custom scroll, but a majority of times I forget to use it. So I want to make sure that I use it before I forget again, because I know the last year I built out was the exact same. We forgot it. Got enough cores for engraving, but I have to choose which engraving. Awakened Athalia or Rem. I would do Athalia. The big reason of Veldex is when you look in comparison to the Awakened Heroes and Rem, if you look at the Awakened version of Athalia, you are missing a big chunk of the hero's abilities if you don't have that 60 engraving. Not only is the Awakened Athalia really prevalent to a lot of stats that she has, where the higher you build out Athalia's stats, the better she's going to perform, but you are also missing that piece of the hero itself. So you are missing a piece of the hero itself. Yeah, Awakened Tassie. I know a lot of players have been talking about the Awakened version of Tassie. So let's see, what do we got? 222, none here, max here. So again, we're going to take these up to 3. I believe this is the crit damage amplification. Boom, there we go. So making the Awakened version of Laika a little bit stronger in there. Then, of course, we have 6. I'm going to go ahead and drop Shuna in here, finishing out my last 3, bringing her to that 9 of 9 furniture, which again, very, very cool to see another one is done. Now, Rimuru, we still have to build out a little bit, but I'm going to drop Shuna out. And then thinking of, who do we got? Where's Lucius? We don't have him in here yet, I don't think. There we go. So we already have him at 10 furniture. I'm going to build him out a little bit further. Then, of course, let's go ahead. Recommended is good. Let's recycle what we're not using. That's it. I think we have one more summon in here. Could it be mythic? It is a mythic, and it is for Lucius. There we go. So just like that, a Lucius. What are we building? So there's a +1. This one is going to increase his defense rating. Now remember, specifically with the Awakened version of Lucius, defense rating goes right hand in hand with that SP effect. So the higher defense that we can get him, the more survivability, but also the ability to do more attack through the SP effect. So we will definitely build him out, and we'll build him out quite a bit. I'd rather have Awakened. Yeah, Awakened Orin would be crazy. Iran would be crazy as well. I wouldn't want to see Almas. And if you notice, if you followed, and I don't play AFK Journey anymore, the game got way too tedious, I guess, just doing the same thing. But if you followed Awaken, or if you're playing AFK Journey, Almas just joined AFK Journey, which is awesome. Then, of course, we just seen the release in AFK Journey for Taylene. That's right. They're literally just taking all of these heroes in AFK Arena. Almas and Taylene are now into AFK Journey. Both of them are going to be there as well, which, of course, a couple new heroes over there. But overall, it seems like a lot of heroes are just going over there. Did I finish Slime Anime? Not yet. I'm about 8 episodes in their hairs. I am definitely getting there. Planning on buying Rimuru and Shuna. Should I be Rimuru? So the thing with Rimuru and Shuna is really, when you think of Rimuru, Rimuru is playing, again, kind of that defensive aspect that we see in a bunch of the different content. Utility-wise, Rimuru is being used a lot of different places, but I think really when it comes to the effectiveness, I would buy Shuna first, because even though both of them are being used in a bunch of different places, we are seeing a really big driving force with Shuna, because it is either you have Shuna done and built and in formation, or you don't. A lot of players have replaced Rimuru with some other heroes, because again, kind of does play the support aspect. But Rimuru, when you start looking at utility, Rimuru is sneaking into pretty much every formation that we're seeing. Rimuru is being used somewhere in there. And again, looking through a couple different places like the Cursed Realm, most of the time you are seeing Rimuru sneaking into a formation here and there. And it's funny because when you look down kind of the little pictures of where the heroes are at, a lot of times you can see, oh, and they hit the last formation. But a lot of times you can see the little picture that shows up. And I believe Rimuru in this one, if I remember, maybe Blossom doesn't have it hiding. Yeah, the formation is hidden. But I want sure, did I use Rimuru? Did I use Rimuru in the last one? No, so Rimuru actually wasn't used in this one. But yeah, Rimuru is being used in a bunch of different places. And again, the way that the hero is being used is kind of unique, because we're seeing Rimuru not as a damage dealer, but again, kind of as a complementary hero, kind of as a support hero is what we're seeing. Yeah, play the campaign. Let me run the campaign in here. This will allow us to go through and answer. Let me grab up my merchants, and then we'll go through. And I have pushed all the way to 63. And of course, I think we're on 67. I think we're going to 67 right now. So it's kind of crazy because we are just continuing to push the campaign. And the campaign progression is crazy because now you're getting a lot more resources out of there. Let's see. So 63. So we are on 902. So coming in down here, let's see, what do we got right here? This is 901. So this is a perfect combination of where we're going to be. Let's copy the formation. Running Kelthin in here, running a couple other heroes. Very cool to see that they're being used. One of my biggest pet peeves that you guys know is when it comes to heroes, I do not like the heroes that essentially have one use, one formation, and they're not used or really effective anywhere else. I like where heroes have a multitude of use. That is why I really focused on the utility versus kind of the one-off that we see with these heroes. I don't understand how K-Sauce and Rimuru, even Oscar and Peggy, are not awakened. Yeah, I think there's a couple heroes that they're just never going to awaken Bam Bam. I think it's just ones that are kind of forgotten. Because the same with Namisu. Namisu's another one where, you know, we had so much time, so much effort. Namisu actually carried so many formations for such a long time. When it came to the Mauler Tower, that was it. It was really just all, and I don't know why we're not pulling in the hero in the back, why we're not pulling all of the heroes in. That's kind of a weird combination. I wonder if it's being missed or if it's being shielded. I'm going to have to see. I'm going to have to look at those. But yeah, the campaign, I want to finish this out. Any tips where I should get Lady Simona engraving, or is she worth building higher than 30? I have her at 30. So that is exactly, I left her at 30 as well. I did not build her any higher. Just for a simple fact, I know the effectiveness of her is there, but I believe if you're going higher than 30 with Lady Simona, it is the PvP aspect. That is the big thing, is the PvP aspect that players are looking for. And we got it. Look at that. Literally, Thorin ran over to do the retaliation ability. I love Thorin Cheese as much as I do hate it, and most players do. Ran over and just dropped Respin right on the enemy side, which was really cool. Now, of course, in here, looking at the collection that we have on Demia and Demia's ability to cheat death, it's a broken, you can see everyone would be dead, but with the cheat death ability in here, it's pretty broken to go through there. Yeah, Thorin is the man. Should I go E60 on Vathiel? Martin, I probably wouldn't now. And the reason being, Vathiel's not seeing a lot of play like he used to. I know we're seeing him in some different places. Tier list, I believe he's falling about the S tier right now. So I would probably wait to see what heroes we're going to get in the future, especially when it comes to Awakened heroes. If you're buying stuff, sure, go ahead and build everyone. But if you're really, I would probably wait at this point to put the E60 on Vathiel. You're not going to see an absolute game changer on there, but it will work. I'm coming back and I don't want to go back to my old account. I want a fresh start. Which hero do I suggest to focus as a first carry? So the first carry is going to be, of course, still Daemon. Now, with that being said, most players are carrying with Daemon off of the beginning on a new account until you can have access to Rimuru or you can have access to Rem. Those are the really strong ones. And of course, if you get an Awakened hero early, putting the Awakened hero in formations is a game changer because of having the ability to have a very early SP effect is very, very strong right off the bat. And again, it's going to make a big difference on who you do pull. Yeah, I would start a fresh account. I think Vulcan, I think I seen something that Vulcan actually started a new account. Ivan early game is going to be huge. Daemon is going to be huge early game. There's a couple different ones that do very, very well early game. And essentially, they're going to carry you until you get to the point of building out some stronger heroes. But as a new account, Graveborn. When you look at Graveborn, the heroes in the Graveborn faction themselves are very broken, which is the reason why most players all go Graveborn on new accounts. Because overall, like I said, they're very broken in the build that they have with Graveborn heroes. Early game, Graveborns are a carry. Ivan is an absolute requirement. Daemon, and of course, you can run Ivan in every formation. But even early, if you look at some of the early crowd control heroes, like looking at Nara, looking at Pharrell, they can work incredibly early and incredibly well just with one single copy. They do work very well for what they're intended and what they're made for, which is the reason why a lot of players do love running those heroes early. What's going on, Jordan? How many characters should I have to SI 30 before focusing on beasts? Dylan, I would really look at the SI 30s on your primary damage dealers. When you start looking at the biggest builds, when you start looking at a lot of the really, really strong heroes in AFK Arena, the damage dealers are the ones that do require a high signature item, because not only are you adding in the new abilities, but you are also adding in a lot more stats, where again, a lot of the casters are very, very stat dependent, meaning that it is going to work incredibly well if you do build out their stats and if you do build out their stats early. Now, of course, looking at the Mahira Liberta combo here, this is one that players absolutely hate. Players have said time and time again that this has so much more RNG than what we see with the Thorn Cheese, especially looking at Baden, is if we can get a trigger early. This requires a very, very specific, again, kind of a really big RNG build within here. And of course, we don't have Zolrath built super high, which amplifies the damage that he does. So I don't know if we're going to be able to get through this one. Might take a little bit of time, but I think we're going to get there. The current state of AFK Arena, again, there's a lot of things we talked about in the live stream, Jordan. I've submitted the things and really talked about what we wanted to see change, especially when it comes to, I know the revamp with the collections, still got to make it easier, still got to make us and give us the ability to get those staffs. Absolutely need to get in really a change when it comes to the Draconic heroes. Yeah, the Draconic heroes are way too expensive for the utility that we have with them. It's a lot. It is really a lot. Should I spend 150k diamonds on Draconis or 4 faction heroes? I don't have many ascended heroes. Absolutely 4 faction. So the big thing, Benedict, is if you're putting 150,000 diamonds and if you're putting them into your primary 4 faction heroes, chances are within those summons, you're going to get your primary 4 faction heroes. You're going to get a lot of, or a couple copies, probably Awakened heroes. You're going to get some Celestials. You're going to get some Hypos. You're going to get some resources. You're going to get food. This in turn, if you're spending those diamonds on the 4 faction heroes, in turn, those are going to allow you to actually build up and push through a ton of the content when it comes to the faction towers. Faction towers are going to give you a lot of resources when it comes to time emblems, when it comes to the Stargazer scrolls. And then, of course, in turn, you're going to be able to build out all of those heroes. Absolutely, guys. The Draconic heroes, in my opinion, are a lot more of, I would almost say, like a consolation prize, almost like a side prize at some point. Because again, the priority to build them is not incredibly high. The utility with the heroes is not, and still remains, and there we go, we got it through, but still remains not incredibly high with the Draconis heroes. And of course, there's only 2 real Draconis heroes that are required to have. As you start building out Gwen, which of course is huge. Yeah, I would use all my insignias to build out Gwen. But of course, guys, also remember, we don't know who's coming next. So we don't know who's coming next. We might have a hero that's going to replace Gwen or Hildwin, which again, coming down the pipeline with new heroes on a regular basis. We've also seen, I believe right now, is talking about a scruffy new hero. I think that's what Dolly is talking about right now, is a scruffy new hero, which again, we'll have to see. A lot of players are saying it's a light bearer dwarf. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see what it looks like for our scruffy new heroes. I got Eugene early. Is he good? Yes. He will work very well early. And again, the big thing, Fitu, is with Eugene early, with any of the Awakened heroes early, is you get the SP effect. That is one of the biggest things when it comes to early gameplay, is if you can get that SP effect, that is going to make a difference. What's going on, Peter? Draconic heroes aren't worth... Yeah, and that's my thought, JC. Is the Draconic heroes are kind of like an offset of heroes. There's not a big drive. Even if you went in there and used the scrolls that you got to go ahead and build out Nyla, you really didn't use the rest of them. You don't need to use the rest of them. Also, if you're looking, remember, when you go in there specifically for the Draconic heroes, you can go in there and only put Nyla in the wish list. You're only putting one single hero, which is Nyla, in that wish list. It is going to increase your probability exponentially to pull Nyla. That way you don't have to worry about the rest of them and building out only that one single Draconic hero. And look at that, guys. We got our first V2, a new subscriber to the channel. Thank you for subbing to the channel. We are north of 38,000. We are moving towards 39,000 subscribers on the channel, which is just absolutely crazy to think. Never did I ever think that we would be this far into AFK Arena and doing YouTube for this many years, but I love doing the chats and the streams. It is awesome to see. The problem with them is, yeah, the cost and the price, and that's it. 5,000 diamonds, yeah, a summon. And again, with you looking at the pity timer, you could spend 15,000 diamonds and get one copy of an elite hero, elite Draconic hero. It's not really worth it. I like Nyla and Hildwin, but I think it's wise to spend my diamonds on the faction heroes. Yes, Benedict, 100% spend them on the faction heroes. Your return for the faction heroes for your diamonds are going to be there. Yeah, any Awakened hero early game, that's what we're talking about. Any upcoming news on the Celestial Hypo? Is there one, or is there absolutely no, nothing as of right now? Like I said, they're talking about a scruffy hero with Dolly right now. A lot of players are speculating that it is going to be a dwarf Lightbearer. But of course, remember, we haven't gotten a wilder hero in a while, but we're going to have to see with the drop of the Draconis heroes, then the Awakened hero, then another Draconis heroes. The primary 4 faction heroes are lagging behind a lot because of the build that we do have in there. And we're trying to get through this little shield with some crowd control. If we can get through here, maybe this will be it. Got it. We got it, guys. Boom. There we go. Chapter 63 is completed. I have never seen chapter 64. I don't know what it looks like, but there we go. So we did pull through that. And there we go. So this chapter is completed in the entirety. We get our pop-up. Next chapter, let's see, guys. So we are going from the Fallen Gods to the Turtle Bone Island. All right, so we are in the Turtle Bone Island. And there we go. So it looks, well, just like the description says. There are turtle bones everywhere, all over the island. I like the backdrops. I like how they do this, the campaign. And as you can see, we got one player here, which is on Guildy. And then we have one player here, which is on the friends list. Yep, there it is. Into chapter 64, which is awesome. Finally getting there. Can Flora be awakened into a tank, awakened, or a sport? That would be interesting if they did an awakened version of Flora that was different. Yeah, Flora, I don't know. That would look into 2025, which is kind of crazy to get some new heroes. Now, of course, the quests, that does give us the ability to get some more campaign rewards. Look at that, 30 of our epic chests. I will 100% take those. Boom, we get some Stargazer scrolls. We do get our chapter completion with tier 4 stones, and that brings us into 64. Wow, again, that is awesome to see that we are there. I'm gonna have to go through here. Is Villanelle good? Yes. So Villanelle, of course, as a support hero, as a Mauler hero, Villanelle is actually one that we have built up quite a bit, is being used and has a lot of utility for the energy disintegration factor that she has. And actually, now that we talk about it, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna build out all of this gear. I didn't even realize that I didn't have the gear built, because heroes like this, there is and has been a lot of utility for them. And of course, looking at the regular tier 3 gear, we want to take her to tier 4, giving some more crit, some more physical pierce, anything that you can really get to build these heroes up further. And again, gear is not as big of a priority, which it once was. I feel like this, again, is kind of like a consolation where if you can resonate everyone to tier 3 gear, there's not a mega huge drive to get them to tier 4 gear, but it's kind of nice to have. When you get them up to a point, it does add a little bit of an additional stats. And of course, when you're being competitive like I am with AFK Arena, it does make a difference when you can, again, kind of edge out a little bit more stats out of a bunch of different places. And of course, this is a Wilder helmet. Let's swap out this Wilder helmet. I don't know why we have a T1. And I wonder if we have those chests. Let me get her a helmet. So coming in here, see, we have 10 tier 2. We don't even have to use the stones. but we can, and we will get her a helmet out of here. There she is. Choose, we'll get her the hat. There we go. So we used our tier 1 and our tier 2 stone. Very easy to build her out. Equip gear. We'll enchant it up, and we'll take everything she has to tier 4, which is awesome. Yeah, Villanelle does really well. As a hero, again, it's a hero that we built early. Utility-wise, we are seeing this hero a ton of different places. Crit damage resistance. There we go. Tier 4. We got to get a little bit more a little bit more furniture on there. And then, of course, damage inflicted by charmed enemies on allies will be converted into a shield that protects her. Again, survivability for her, but I do like her. We didn't take her to a +30 signature item. When charmed enemies grant healing or most buffs to the ally ally will be inflicted with the scorpion venom. Enemies afflicted by the scorpion venom lose health, which again, she doesn't do a lot of damage, but her ability to have the support aspect does make a big difference. I'm currently building out the Awakened version of Lucius because he's my favorite hero. Yeah, he's good. I do like the Awakened version of Lucius. They gotta, yeah. So Andre, yeah, the thing in there is they need to get to a point where when you look at the gear, it just gets kind of silly. Even looking at all of this gear, I feel like there should be a point where they just recycle it all into the stones. The gear doesn't make a big difference to clear it out. Since the next Awakened priority is a Wilder, and Wilders still don't have a tank, switch to the other factions. Doesn't mean they might get a strength. They absolutely could. We could see a strength-based Wilder. So looking in here, even looking at our Wilder faction in general, you know, looking at Aethys is very, very strong. When you talk about the ability to tank, it would be pretty cool if we seen the Ninja Turtle or Almas. Now, like we were talking about earlier, Almas was actually just introduced to AFK Journey. But if we got big Gorvo with the Ninja Turtle, could be an Awakened version of Gorvo. Again, a lot of players looking at Tassie. And then for the Greyborn as well, we have 2 more Awakened heroes that are coming within the next probably 5 months because tomorrow is July. So it is coming. I want them to give us tier 4 resonance. So I feel like, JC, that they are going to give us the tier 4 resonance when they release tier 5 gear. Now, we know a while ago, the tier 5 gear was in the code. I guess when they were data mining, tier 5 gear was in the code. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know how it's going to be built, but eventually one day there is going to be tier 5 gear. And again, could be coming down the pipeline. Waiting for, yeah, the Awakened version of Mishka with some giant dire wolves would be awesome. Oku, yeah, Oku has a good design. Again, when you look at some of the heroes, talk about very, very short-lived. I built him out, as you can see, quite a bit, but Oku was another one, very short-lived with the hero build itself. There's a lot. And again, we have 2 more heroes that are coming. Is Awakened Entendre good or bad? I'm thinking of building her in the month after release. Is the pull rates, did anything? It seems like the pull rates. So Floof has been doing a lot of data collection for the pull rates. And it seems, even if you watched Vulcan's video when he did the summons, 2.2, 2.3. So looking at our probability, looking at our summon rates, yes, 100% the summon rates have absolutely increased. Even when you looked at the summon rates that I did with the probabilities, we were over 2.5 just mathematically based on all the polls we did for the Awakened version of Entendre. So absolutely, we're not looking at 2% or even subpar 2%. The rates are doing very well when it comes to being able to build out a bunch of different heroes. Yes, the rates have been doing very well. Now, the Awakened version of Entendre, again, in a bunch of different game modes, she is being used. It is still relatively early. We built her out. A lot of players are having issues, again, with the survivability aspect, which is countered by this one. So the skill level 1 with Zolrath is receiving the fatal damage. It can actually reset her. The survivability with her is kind of the problem that we're seeing, unfortunately. Just started playing AFK Arena just for Tassie, knowing she is bad sucks for her too. Yeah, Tassie is pretty good, especially early game. Tassie used to be used a ton. It was a hero that was used so many different places, and I really think they could do something cool with the Awakened version of Tassie. It would be cool. Spending money in the game, what is most important to buy? So my personal preference of the #1 thing to buy in here, which if you're playing AFK Arena for the long term, is the monthly cards. When you start looking at the deluxe monthly card, this is the biggest one because of the time emblem. So when you think of the shop itself, when you look at the store, you can get one single time emblem every single day. If you buy the deluxe monthly cards, you are getting another 30 time emblems, because now instead of getting one a day from the store, you get one from the shop, you get one from the deluxe monthly card, giving you 2 time emblems every day, which means instead of getting 30 during the month, you're getting 60 during the month. And of course, the ability to build the Awakened Heroes are still and will always be the strongest heroes within AFK Arena are the Awakened Heroes. The better that you can build them, the faster you can build them. Now, with that being said, you are also getting red chests, so that is related to the signature items. You are also getting elemental cores, which again relate to building the heroes. So literally everything that you need to build a hero is right in the deluxe monthly card. And of course, this is going to take you 30 days to get the entire deluxe monthly card. But when it comes to the return, you can see the value of this for 15 bucks is 57,000 diamonds. So 30 cards at 500 diamonds each. Then you start putting in the cores and everything else. Yes, that is really, really worth it, is the deluxe monthly card. If you want to go for the regular monthly card, that one's good as well. But short of this one, I would buy the Noble Society and the Champions of Espria. This is another one where when you look at needing things to build heroes, when you look at your cores, when you look at your red chests, these are the absolute biggest priorities, because these are what you need to build your heroes. If you want to make progression faster in AFK Arena, this is 100% absolutely the way to do it. And even looking now, because I don't buy the other part of the Twisted Bounties out, and I didn't buy the red chest of the Champions of Espria, and of course, we're not buying the Regal Rewards. I am spending about 80 bucks a month for what we get in here with the monthly cards, Champions of Espria, and then of course the Twisted Bounties. We're at about 80 bucks, which is where I'm happy. 100 or less is what we're kind of looking at. Tassie is a support, Awakened as a cleanse buff and multiple buffs. Yeah, I would love to see the Awakened version of Tassie. I think it would be really cool. Should I build Lucius or Awakened Antandra? Honestly, Peter, I would build Lucius. Now, the reason being, as much as I do like the Awakened version of Antandra, is we already know that Lucius is being used. We already know where Lucius is being used. He is best in slot in a lot of different formations. Either you're going to have Lucius or you don't. And again, we know where he's being used. Awakened version of Antandra is still a question mark. And even if we do use her in a couple places, we know where Lucius is being used. With 5 team comps, he's not going to be replaced in his entirety. He's not going to be replaced anytime soon, because we already know that he's being used and we already know where he's being used. That is the big one. How do you have so much patience? I have forever. Most of you guys know, again, if you followed the stream for a while, I spent 8 years in the Marine Corps. You talk about building some patience. I have patience forever. My patience have never really been tested to any point. I can do things forever. Tedious grind. I love the grind. It is something that I like to do. Even going in here, I mean, we've been playing this game for 5 years now and grinding out a lot of things. Even looking at the heroes. I mean, there's like, what, 160, 170 heroes in AFK Arena. It is insane the amount of heroes that we've went through and the amount of heroes that we built. It takes a ton of different time. But let me do the give back. So let me hop in here. I want to make sure that I don't forget the membership gifting. I try to remember it right around the end of the stream. And of course, this is eligible for anyone that is in the stream when we go ahead and drop it. So there we go. So that should pop up in just a minute. And I love seeing the little hippos next to your name. There is the gifting. It has been announced. It'll pop up in just a minute. And it goes to Folvos. Congratulations for the gifting of the membership for this week. Again, I love doing it. It's really cool. I want them to update the Labyrinth store with new heroes. Yes. So that is another thing that we have kind of talked about quite a bit, is looking at some of the different game modes and some of the progression that they really do need to change and some of the updates they need. Because even looking like in the store, is when we start looking at a lot of different things, looking at the Labyrinth. I'm buying out Wukong again, but everything else we have, even the Challenger store, we have everything in here. I have been buying out these red chests because we have everything. We're just getting to the point where for a lot of players, they need to update what is in here and they need to update some of the heroes. Even in here, I mean, right now the twins have a little bit of utility, but looking at Zafriel, looking at Frampton, looking at Leofric, they're not being used anywhere. They're heroes that are not being used anywhere, unfortunately. It's you know, you're spending resources and you're spending time and effort into heroes that are not being used at all anywhere within AFK Arena. Yes, 100% absolutely needs, we need some updates for quite a few different things. And of course, I hope that comes with time, that they do some more heroes. Even looking at Merlin, looking at Mulan, looking at Joan of Arc, even looking at Arthur, most of those heroes aren't used anymore. Most of them, again, you could build them out, you could put them in somewhere, but overall, not seeing a lot of utility with a ton of those. Yeah, and that's what they need to do. They need to put a little bit more of the priority. I mean, even looking at a tier list, so if they put like Libirda in there, Lucilla in there, Lavatune in there, heroes that players were looking to really build, it would be a game changer. Who is better, Shuna or Palmer? Honestly, both of them. So that is kind of a tough question to answer. And the reason being, when you look at Palmer is being used in an incredible amount of content. We are seeing Palmer being used in a ton of different formations as a support hero, as a crit damage amplification is being used, which is the exact same thing with Shuna. Shuna is being used in a ton of different places. We are seeing, again, a lot of utility with the hero herself. Again, both of them are going to be used, and they're both support. They're both used in different formations. They're both used in their capacity, but utility-wise, absolutely, they're being used in a few different places. It'd be nice if the dim garrison would be reduced. Yeah, that would be awesome if it went to 3 months instead of 6. It's very, very expensive. Who has a high build priority, Leica or Lucius? It's Leica right now. The Awakened version of Leica in the tier list does kind of take place of the Awakened version of Lucius, which again, I got the tier list, I got to prep, I got to do the video for it a little bit later. Increase the cap on the stores. Yes, the cap, JC, that is something that we have literally been fighting with for years, is increasing the cap. And essentially, they don't want to increase the cap. And the logic behind it, this is what I literally got from Lilith, is when you look at the cap, is the reason it's capped is because if I saved up, let's say, 1 million Labyrinth tokens, then they do an update to the heroes that are within the shop, within the stores. You would have the ability to buy everything out that you wanted through the resets. That's the reason, again, why I was told years ago why they have the caps. So that way players cannot sit on an infinite amount of resources just waiting for this to be updated and then scoop everything out of there. That's the big thing. Who to garrison after Rem and Amelia? Rem and Amelia, after that, that's tough. Probably nobody. Even looking at Rem and Amelia, we thought that Albedo would have a really, really big comeback with the new, with Shuna and with Rimuru. Not seeing really any utility with Alberto at this time. Maybe Ezio, again, kind of used in some niche formations. But honestly, after Garrison, Rem, and Amelia, not really anyone. Even looking at the tier list, a majority of these heroes are quite a bit lower. We still have Rem, we have Amelia, but even looking at pretty much everyone in here doesn't, again, not seeing a ton of utility for any of the heroes. Yeah, Ezio for PvP. Albedo might be used, but again, most of the places with Albedo, we're not seeing her used. Even in maybe PvP, we might still be seeing a little bit of Albedo like in the Treasure Scramble. And again, if you're full out into PvP, it could be a lot different. But even looking in here, I don't know if we've seen, see right there's Merlin. There is our other two dims. I don't even think Albedo, yeah, Albedo's right there. So Albedo could be used. Ezio could be used, which I believe Ezio was in a finisher, which I don't even think Ezio is showing in here. No, I'm not even seeing Ezio in here. So again, you could do Albedo. You could save your resources depending on what you're looking for and what you could get. It would be nice. If you're early game, Irons or Rem. 100%. If you're early game, go for Rem. Rem is broken when you put Rem in with Ivan. So the combination of the two heroes together. So if you're running an absolutely big priority is getting Ivan. But if you're running Rem with Ivan, if you're running Ivan with Damon, if you're running Ivan with pretty much any damage dealer, it's broken. It is really broken with how much damage and how much utility Ivan has. Still one of the very few heroes that comes into the SSS tier as a regular 4-faction hero. The shielding, the energy regeneration, the crowd control, everything with Ivan is just pretty broken. What's going on, Goalie? Hi, a little bit late. Yeah, just coming in a little bit late. So our Draconis, the new Maulers. Again, Draconic heroes, there's 2 that are being used and only 2 that are being used. So looking right now, looking at Nyla and looking at Gwen, those are the 2 that have really the biggest priority. Hildwin, of course, being used because we got a lot of free copies of. The other ones not being used at all, which again, Hildwin, yeah, you can use them because we're getting a lot of free copies. Utility-wise, a lot more of a support than a mage than a damage dealer. But when you're looking at damage, it is Nyla and it is Gwen that are really driving and the biggest utility in there. But again, Draconic heroes, as a regular player, there's no reason to push and no reason to drive those Draconic heroes to build them up, you know, as fast as you can. There's no reason. There's honestly no reason to build them out and really pushing the heroes to build them out. Now, of course, Lost Sigils just came up. Make sure you guys are doing the Lost Sigils. It is one of the absolute biggest places to get all of the resources that you want for your heroes. And honestly, the resources are a lot more beneficial than buying out the heroes themselves. Because of course, yeah, Hildwin's used in PvP. But like I said, Hildwin, you're kind of getting for free. Do we need 60 engraving on Ivan? No. This J guy, you do not need 60 engraving on Ivan. Now, of course, when it comes to the 60 engraving, this is really for PvP. So right here, it is the haste reduction. This is really strong in the treasure scramble. This is really strong for PvP. 30 is really all that you need because this one is good for the crowd control. You can see there is a 3-second stun when the Squire dies. This is very, very big, not only for PvP, but also for any other game mode running in the campaign, running in a bunch of other places, because you can provide a crowd control aspect. In the Squire in here, he can actually almost chain because it comes up every 5 seconds. A Squire comes on the battlefield, 3-second stun, 5-second Squire, 3-second stun, over and over and over. And of course, when the Squire dies, he receives 200 energy points. Ivan is broken, which is very, very cool. I have 500 cards. Awaken Lucius, again, is good. We know where Awaken Lucius is being used. If you're waiting for the next Awaken hero, you're not going to have the ability to use Lucius. That's the problem. Yes, that is what we talked about. I know you're a little bit late to the stream, but yes, when it comes to the cost of the Draconic heroes, it's silly. It is just silly with how expensive the Draconic heroes are. Not really worth it at all. Again, for majority of players, short of getting free resources, meaning you're getting insignias or you're buying them for some of your regular in-game currency, but purchasing them straight up, not worth it. Even the Draconic heroes in general, not worth it at all. There we go. I think there's a copy of Gwen. We got a copy last time we were here. Boom. Flip. And there it is. Another copy of Gwen. We need two more copies, and she is going to be ascended. And of course, with that ascension, we'll be able to put all of the furniture that we have on there. So there is a copy. Last time we did this, we did get a copy of Gwen as well. So that is 2 for 2. And again, I'm going to save these 70 scrolls. I'm going to use these. I'm going to save my diamonds, not using my diamonds, but I'm going to use these 70 scrolls when the new hero comes out. Again, providing a little bit more food, but also picking up that new hero. But again, that brings me 1 copy right there. So we are getting there for Gwen. Which of the main 4 factions are the best? Graveborn. Graveborn are broken. When you look at the heroes, when you look at these heroes specifically, yes, the Graveborn are still the absolute strongest faction, especially earlier game. Graveborn are super strong. Even when you look at the, first probably 1, 2, 3 rows, a majority of these heroes are still being used. Isolde, not really as much. Even looking, sometimes Grez will pop up, but even looking further down here, earlier game, there's a lot of crowd control in here. There's a lot of survivability. There's a lot of damage. There's a lot of heroes that have a ton of utility. Yeah, I would say Graveborn. Should I put more stars on Awakened Chimera? So the big thing, Beans, is if you're going in there and if you're being competitive, so if you're adding more stars on heroes, it adds 2.5% stats. That's roughly what it does for every star that's on there. Not worth it if you don't have everything really built out in its entirety. Can I read your last chat? Let me see. Honestly, they should just keep the dimensional heroes in the garrison after finishing. Should be permanent. Yeah. So a thing with that, so once you go in the garrison and after you do it 6 times, it still requires you to get it in re-rent the hero every single time, which is just an absolute pain in the butt. So the rumor or the logic that I heard behind that, Peter, is because of the heroes being, and I don't know if there's any truth behind it, but because they are collaboration heroes and they are crossover heroes, that they can't permanently give you the hero, which again, I don't know the whole legal side of what it is with these heroes, but the way that they're designed, what the contract states, whatever, that they're available for rehire, but they can't do it permanently, which again, I know is really just a pain in the butt that you have to come in here to rehire them. But again, it may be something that changes in the future, but there's a whole legal side around these, because even looking Rem and Amelia, Rimuru, all of these heroes, Lilith doesn't own the rights to the heroes. They rent the rights to the heroes to bring the collaboration heroes. Then it is for a set amount of time. So it's not like, hey, this hero I'm buying forever and I have the rights to it. The rights are held by a different company. So again, they are held to kind of a different standard, a different liability for the heroes, because they are those crossed over heroes. Celestials are the best faction. So between both of them, Celestials and the Hippos. So even looking here, when you look at Demia and when you look at Libirda, and then when you look at Lavatoon and when you look at Lucilla, they are probably the 4 best heroes in AFK Arena. Can we stargaze Draconic heroes? No, you cannot. Unfortunately, you cannot stargaze any of the Draconic heroes, which kind of stinks. But again, they are super, super limited, which I don't know at this point if AFK Arena has made enough money on them that they're just going to release them or give them to us earlier. Only time will tell. But all right, guys, so that is going to do it for our Sunday stream. We're just a little bit over an hour, but thank you guys for joining me. I love going through. I love being able to chat with you guys and being able to go through and play a game that I absolutely love. It's cool to see all the people in chat, all your little hippos next to Yoshi and Beans. It is really cool. And of course, guys, we have the new tier list that is going to be coming out, but it is Sunday. I'm going to go out. It looks like it's pretty nice outside. Might have to go out and enjoy some of the sunshine with the kids. But again, guys, that is going to do it for our Sunday stream. Thank you guys for joining me. There's a lot more stuff that is coming. And of course, when it looks at Dolly, Dolly is talking about a scruffy companion that is coming. And I always like seeing Dolly in here, even in her Draconic outfit. And I still want to see if the common scrolls are going to give us the ability to pull one if we can find one of those Draconic heroes. But there's the dragons, and right here, the Patreon confirmed, or no, this is still the Inspector. This is still the new one. On the test server, it talks about the Scruffy, which again, a lot of players are saying that it is going to be a dwarf. But all right, guys, again, that is going to do it for today's stream. Thank you guys for joining me. And as always, thank you guys for watching.